Zara's hands trembled as she cradled her newborn twins in the dim hospital room. Their tiny faces were serene, eyes gently closed, their pale white skin soft like cotton, delicate as petals. She was supposed to feel joy. Instead, a creeping fear crawled up her spine. Then the door slammed open. Kola, her husband, burst in, his steps frantic, eyes wide with disbelief as they darted between the twins and her. The shock on his face made her stomach drop. "What is this?" Kola bellowed, his voice booming through the room. "Zara, are these supposed to be my children?" Zara blinked, tears welling up in her exhausted eyes. "Kola, of course, they're yours," she whispered, barely audible. "Please, look at them. They're beautiful." But Kola wasn't admiring their beauty. He took a step closer, voice sharp like a whip. "Beautiful? Zara, these children are white. Their eyes are blue. How does a black man like me father white children with blue eyes? You think I'm a fool?" Her heart cracked. In the chaos of giving birth, she hadn't fully noticed it. But now it was clear. Their features were unlike hers. Or Kola's. Still, she reached for his hand. "I don't know, Kola," she cried. "I don't understand it either. But I swear to you, I've never. Don't lie to me." Kola pulled his hand away like she had burned him. "You betrayed me. You made a fool out of me." The twins stirred, their soft wails beginning to fill the room. Zara instinctively turned to soothe them, but Kola wasn't done. "You humiliated me," he said, his voice suddenly low, dangerously cold. "I want nothing to do with you or those children." "Kola, please," Zara sobbed, panic setting in. "Don't do this. We can talk. We can figure this out, together." But Kola didn't answer. He turned and stormed out, slamming the door behind him so hard it echoed through Zara's chest. She was left there in silence, numb, shaking, and broken. Her vision blurred as she looked down at her babies, now quiet in her arms. "He'll come back," she whispered to herself, though the words felt hollow. "He just needs time." Hours passed. The hospital room was quiet except for the soft coos of the twins nestled in their bassinets. Zara sat motionless, still clinging to the hope that Kola would return, that he would come back through that door, eyes full of regret, arms open with forgiveness. But when he returned, it wasn't to make peace. Zara's breath caught as Kola stepped into the room once more, this time carrying a large plastic bag. Without a word, he tossed it at the foot of her hospital bed. Her folded clothes spilled across the floor. What are you doing?" she asked, voice cracking. Kola didn't look at her. His face was set in stone. Cold. Distant. "You and your things are no longer welcome in my house," he said flatly. "Pack whatever is left. Go to whoever fathered those children. They are not mine." Zara's lips trembled. "Kola, you can't mean this. I've been faithful to you. I don't know why the twins look this way, but I know they're yours. I would never. Spare me." He let out a bitter laugh. "You want to explain this miracle to me now? You think I'll just pretend I didn't see what I saw?" His voice lowered. "I want a divorce." Zara stared at him, her whole body trembling. The pain in her chest grew sharp, unbearable. She tried to stand, but her legs wobbled. "Don't do this to us," she pleaded. "Don't do this to them." Kola didn't answer. He turned around and walked out again, this time, without looking back. The door clicked shut behind him, final and cruel. Zara collapsed into sobs. The nurses rushed in after hearing her cries. Their faces were tight with pity as they tried to comfort her, but Zara could barely speak. Her body was weak from childbirth, her heart shattered from betrayal. One of the nurses, a soft-spoken woman named Nurse Bola, sat beside her. "Do you have someone you can call?" she asked gently, brushing Zara's hair away from her damp forehead. Zara gave a slow nod. Her hands shook as she reached for her phone. She dialed the number with trembling fingers. When her mother answered, she couldn't hold it in. "Ma," her voice cracked. "He's gone." There was a pause on the other end, then Mama Beezy's firm voice. "Stay strong, my child. I'm coming. I'll be there soon." When Mama Beezy finally arrived later that night, she looked like a warrior stepping into battle, headscarf tight, face set, eyes blazing. But when she saw Zara's tear-stained cheeks, her armor melted. Without a word, she gathered her daughter in her arms and held her tight. "Hush now," Mama Beezy whispered. "You are not alone. We will get through this. One step at a time." Zara sobbed into her mother's shoulder, her body heaving with all the pain she had been trying to suppress. Between tears, she told her everything. Cola's accusations, the way he had dropped her things on the floor, the disbelief in his eyes. "He won't believe me," Zara said. "He says the twins aren't his. But I don't understand how could this happen?" Mama Beezy pulled back slightly, cupping Zara's face. "My child, life has a way of testing us in the most painful ways. But the truth has its own legs. It will stand, even when lies try to bury it." The next morning, Zara left the hospital with her mother by her side, and the twins bundled in warm wrappers. The sun was harsh in Abadan, but it offered little warmth to her heart. Back in Mama Beezy's small bungalow in Makola, everything felt unfamiliar. The house she had grown up in was the same, with its green-painted walls, the worn sofa, and the creaky fan that hummed in the living room. But the girl who had once danced in this home was gone. She sat on the edge of the couch, staring blankly as Mama Beezy moved around, folding clothes, boiling water, preparing a hot bowl of yam porridge. "You must eat," Mama Beezy said, placing the bowl before her. "You've lost too much strength already." Zara shook her head. "I can't, Ma. I don't even know how to think, let alone eat." Her mother sighed, then sat beside her. "Your life isn't falling apart, Zara. It's just changing. You still have your children. You have me. You have breath. That means there is still a way." Zara didn't respond. But that night, as her mother rocked the twins to sleep and the crickets sang outside, she stared at the ceiling and whispered to herself, "I will not let this break me." Zara stood at the edge of the market square in Makola, wrapped in a faded Ankara scarf and clutching a small shopping list. It was her first time back out in public since the birth and the betrayal. She kept her head low as she moved between stalls, but the whispers still reached her ears. "Nawao, she born Oyinbo Pekin," a woman muttered as she passed. "Abi she go follow one white man?" Another replied, chuckling. Zara gritted her teeth and kept walking. Her heart beat fast, cheeks burning with shame. Every sideways glance, every hushed conversation felt like a dagger. Even the familiar shopkeeper who used to greet her warmly barely looked at her now. As she approached his stand for a bar of soap, he squinted at her and said, "Madam, those children, you sure say not your own?" Zara froze. Her throat tightened. "Excuse me." The man shrugged. "I just day talk my own. A dark woman, no fit-born white Pekin. Not common sense." For a moment, she stood there, frozen, humiliated. Then, without a word, she dropped the soap and walked away, blinking back tears. Back at home, the twins were asleep in a hand-me-down cradle when Zara sat with Mama Beezy, her fingers curled tightly around a steaming mug of tea. "I need to work," she said quietly. "I can't keep sitting here like I'm broken." Mama Beezy looked at her for a long moment, then gave a slow nod. "There's a school not far from here," she said. "St. Jude's Nursery. They posted a vacancy notice last week, primary level teacher. You still have your certificate?" Zara blinked. "Yes, somewhere in my old things." "Then go," Mama Beezy said. "Tomorrow morning. Hold your head up and go." Zara stood outside the school's rusty gate the next morning, clutching a plastic file folder and fighting back a wave of self-doubt. Her skirt was neatly pressed, her blouse freshly washed, but she felt every crack inside her. Still, she walked in. The headmistress, a stern-looking woman named Mrs. Oilik, eyed her credentials silently before speaking. "Experience? 3 years before maternity leave," Zara answered. "Children, twins," she said. Mrs. Oilik looked up at her, brow arching slightly. "The twins people are whispering about." Zara didn't flinch. "Yes, and they're mine." There was a pause. Then the headmistress gave a small, satisfied smile. I like boldness. You can start on Monday." The classroom smelled of chalk and old books. Zara stood at the blackboard, facing a rowdy class of 10-year-olds. Their energy was chaotic, but their eyes were curious. She wrote her name in large white letters. "Good morning, class," she said firmly. "Good morning, Ma," they chorused. It wasn't easy. The first hour tested her patience. One boy tried to climb under his desk, another spilled water on his notebook. But as the lesson wore on, something in her began to shift. A spark. By the end of the day, when one little girl handed her a rough drawing that read, "I love you, Miss Zara," she nearly cried. That night, she lay beside her twins, watching them sleep. For the first time in weeks, she smiled, just a little. 2 weeks later, she was walking home from school, holding a small bag of groceries, when she passed a group of women chatting by a roadside bench. One of them, Ani Dupe, a neighbor, called out, "Zara, come on, we've been talking. These your children. We hear say dem, no, be your husband own. Is it true?" Zara paused. She looked at the women, one by one. Their faces were lined with curiosity, judgment, and something else, fear of the unknown. Zara stepped forward. Calm, strong. "I gave birth to them," she said. "In pain, in confusion, in fear. I carried them for 9 months, just like every mother here." "But how come they're so white?" one of the women asked. "I don't know yet," she said. "But what I do know is this: they are mine. They breathe because I breathe. And whether you believe me or not doesn't change that." She turned and walked away, her back straight, her head high. That night, as thunder rolled in the distance and the sky wept rain, Zara sat by the window, her babies asleep once again, and whispered to herself, "I am not ashamed." The twins' 5th birthday arrived with golden sunshine and the scent of jollof rice in the air. Zara had saved up for months. Nothing too extravagant, just a small party in Mama Beezy's compound, decorated with paper streamers, balloons, and love. The twins, Dara and Deo, wore matching sky blue outfits and smiled wide as they ran around with their friends. Their laughter was pure, untouched by the past. Zara stood under the mango tree with a camera, capturing the joy. Even Mama Beezy joined in, her loud laughter echoing as she helped serve food. For the first time in years, it felt like the weight had lifted. But peace has sharp edges. As the sun dipped below the rooftops and guests began to leave, a young boy walked up to Zara and handed her a small box wrapped in silver paper. "Someone said to give you this," he said, pointing toward the gate. Zara looked up, but the boy had disappeared into the crowd. She turned the box over in her hands. No name, no tag.
Happy Hi Bestie. If you enjoyed this story so far, don't forget to like and subscribe and comment where you are watching from. Enjoy!
She took it inside and opened it slowly, curiosity melting into a chill in her bones. Inside the box was a printed photo of her, Dara, and Deo, taken at a park 2 weeks ago. She hadn't noticed anyone watching them then, hadn't seen a camera flash. The angle was close, too close. Pinned to the photo was a small note, scrawled in red ink. "Your happiness is borrowed. Watch your back." Zara clutched the photo and note in her hand as she sat across from a tired-looking officer at the local station. The man leaned back in his chair, unimpressed. "Madam, you say someone took your photo and sent you a note?" "Yes," Zara said. "They're threatening me." "Any name? Anyone you suspect?" She hesitated. "No, but I've been through a lot. My husband left me. People gossip. Maybe someone." The officer waved a hand. "That's not evidence. Maybe it's just a prank. People do nonsense for attention these days." Zara stared at him, heart sinking. "So you won't do anything? We'll keep the note. But unless something happens, there's not much we can do." That night, Zara sat on the edge of her bed, the children fast asleep beside her. The note replayed in her head like a haunting melody. Mama Beezy stepped into the room, holding a warm cloth. "You didn't eat," she said softly. Zara took a deep breath and showed her the note and photo. Mama Beezy's face darkened. She sat down slowly. "This is no ordinary threat," she said. "This is personal. Someone is watching you, Zara. Someone close." "Why?" Zara whispered. "I've suffered enough. Why won't they let me breathe?" Mama Beezy wrapped her arm around her. "We'll find out. But from now on, no more parks, no more walking alone. Keep the twins close. Evil wears familiar faces." A week passed. Zara began walking the twins to school earlier than usual, always checking over her shoulder. The cheerful light in her eyes dimmed. Then, one night, just after midnight, she woke to a strange sound. A light tapping at the window. She rose quietly, her body tense, heart pounding. Carefully, she crept toward the curtain and pulled it aside. Nothing. But in the morning, something chilling waited on the doorstep. A single white rose. And a second photo, this time, just of Deo, taken outside their classroom gate. Zara fell to her knees, trembling. Whoever it was, they were getting closer. Zara sat at the kitchen table. The new photo spread before her like a curse. Deo's innocent face stared back at her, captured by someone hiding in the shadows. Mama Beezy stood across from her, arms folded tightly. "Whoever is doing this knows us, Zara. knows your movements, the children's school. Zara's voice cracked. Why now? Why after all this time? Mama Beezy sighed, then paused. There's something I should have told you a long time ago about our family. They sat on the old bamboo bench behind the house. Mama Beezy's voice was low, steady, like she had rehearsed this in her mind 1,000 times. Your grandmother, my mother, was an albino, she said. Zara's eyes widened. But no one ever talked about it. People mocked her, called her a witch. My father hid her away. She died before you were born. She looked up at Zara, guilt clouding her eyes. When you were born, and your skin came out dark like mine, I thanked God. I thought it meant the curse skipped you. I never imagined. Zara's hands trembled in her lap. You mean, the twins? It's genetics, child, Mama Beezy said softly. Recessive traits. Buried deep until they show up again, unexpectedly. Tears streamed down Zara's face, a strange mix of sorrow and relief. So I wasn't unfaithful. I wasn't crazy. You were never crazy, Mama Beezy whispered, holding her close. Later that week, just as Zara began to process it all, a knock came at the front door. It was Kola. He looked thinner, older. Guilt clung to him like sweat. I saw the blog post you wrote, he said, eyes cast downward. And I did a DNA test. Zara's heart froze. You what? I needed to know. I couldn't live with the guilt. And, Zara, they're mine. Dara and Deo, they're my children. Silence. Kola stepped forward. I came to apologize. To ask for forgiveness. Zara stared at him, a storm raging inside her. 5 years. 5 years of pain, judgment, abandonment. Do you think sorry can erase what you did? She asked, her voice calm but cold. Kola lowered his gaze. I don't expect anything. I just needed you to know the truth. Kola sat in the living room, watching his children from afar. They didn't recognize him. They didn't know him. I lost everything, he said to Mama Beezy, who stood in the doorway watching him like a hawk. My pride, my peace. Every day I saw their faces in my dreams. Mama Beezy didn't smile. Good. Maybe now you understand what you threw away. He nodded slowly. I don't want to take them from her. I just want to be part of their lives, if she'll let me. Zara stood at the window that night, watching her children sleep. The truth was out. The past had been unearthed, the shame lifted. But a decision still loomed. Forgiveness wasn't easy. Trust wasn't automatic. And the threat wasn't gone. She sat down with Mama Beezy, her voice quiet. He's their father. They deserve to know him. But he doesn't deserve to own their hearts like he abandoned mine. Mama Beezy nodded. Then you lead. You protect. But never forget. Zara looked at her mother, then out into the night. I won't forget, she whispered. But I won't live in fear anymore either. Zara sat at her laptop, heart racing as she wrote the final lines of her blog post. She titled it, My Children Are Not a Mistake. They're a Miracle of Genetics. In the post, she shared her entire journey, giving birth to twins with pale skin and blue eyes, the backlash, the abandonment, the cruel assumptions, and finally, the truth about her grandmother's hidden albino heritage. She ended the post with a powerful line. Love defies appearance. So should we. Within hours, the post began to go viral. Mothers from around Nigeria and beyond flooded her inbox with support. People shared stories of prejudice, hidden family truths, and silent pain. Zara wasn't just healing, she was leading. Using the donations and support that poured in, Zara opened a small daycare center in Ibadan, a safe space for children who looked different, children often judged or ignored. She called it Rainbow Roots. The center welcomed albino children, children with vitiligo, birthmarks, and other rare features. Her philosophy was simple. No child should feel like they don't belong. Dara and Deo helped paint the walls with their tiny hands, their laughter echoing through rooms that once only knew pain. Zara stood at the front door with Mama Beezy beside her, watching parents walk in with hesitant smiles and walk out with hope. Kola began coming around once a week, attending therapy sessions and getting to know the twins slowly, with Zara's terms firmly in place. He apologized again, often, but Zara made it clear. I've forgiven you, but I've rebuilt this life brick by brick. You may walk beside us, but you don't get to lead it. Kola respected her boundaries. He brought books, snacks, small toys, and sometimes just his time. For the twins, it was enough. For Zara, it was healing without reopening old wounds. Months later, Zara was invited to speak at a TEDx event in Lagos. She stood before a crowd of hundreds, her heart steady. "My story began with betrayal," she said. "But it ends with truth, love, and purpose. My twins are not anomalies. They are proof that our DNA carries history, strength, and surprises. And that sometimes, what the world fears is exactly what it needs to see." The crowd rose in thunderous applause. Zara looked out and saw Mama Beezy weeping with pride. Dara and Deo waved from the front row. And somewhere in the back, Kola watched silently, knowing he had lost something, but grateful she had found herself. Late one evening, Zara returned home from the daycare. The house was quiet, the children asleep. As she stepped inside, she noticed something unusual on the table. A sealed envelope. Her breath caught. Hands trembling, she opened it. Inside was another photo, grainy and dim, of her giving her TEDx speech. From the audience. From the shadows. And a note, typed this time. "You're becoming too loud. Watch yourself." Zara stared at it, calm yet alert. She didn't cry. She didn't run. She burned the note. Then she turned off the lights, walked into her children's room, and kissed each of them on the forehead. "Let them watch," she whispered.
Hi bestie, kunyafu hivi kumeshawa uruang. If you enjoyed the story so far, don't forget to like and subscribe for part 2. Comment where you are watching from and I will reply with my favorite emoji. Thank you.